And it got to a point I was like, prayer does not work for my Swedish migration. Hello guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel today. If you are new here, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming. My name is Bosinola and I film generally about Sweden, about my life, about education and all that good stuff. So today, but you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be talking about why I was almost giving up and leaving Sweden at one point. I just feel like it's good to share my story on here, because a lot of times when we go through stuff in this country, we hardly don't have people to actually talk to. You don't you're just, most times you're just alone, because yeah, I don't know, for some reason you sometimes you find yourself alone in some kind of situation. And that's why I've decided that on this channel I'm also going to be bringing like some of the things that I go through personally here in Sweden, about my journey as well. So this video is one of those experiences. So yeah, without further ado, let me just go straight to the point today. So at some point when I came into Sweden, at some point I wanted to give up and leave Sweden, and it was birthed from the fact that I think in the first year that I came, it was better from the fact that there are lots of things that you can see a lot of obstacles in front of you, and you get scared about how you want to navigate that season of your life. And what I mean is, we all know that as students, as master students in Sweden, you actually don't have your stay in Sweden is not counting, right? And after school, you have 1 year to kind of look for a job that makes you stay in Sweden, and then by then your stay starts counting, right? But then to get a job was the problem at that time, because at that time it was really hard when we came in at 2021. At that time the job was not that there were jobs, but I don't know, most of the foreigners are not just getting, because some of the criteria in getting those jobs was Swedish. You must learn to speak Swedish. It was one of the criteria. And if you're somebody who is so familiar with LinkedIn, you've seen a lot of people coming out and talking about this, where employers will prefer Swedish language even more than talent. Like they pick Swedish language first before they even look at your talent. And that was the issue at that time. And I got discouraged, right? I got discouraged and I was like, oh, maybe after school I just leave Sweden, because I don't have all the energy for this. And to even learn the language is hard, guys. It's hard, it's not easy. Especially if you're dependent, it can be easy for you because you are not studying, right? You are not studying, all you do is probably work, right? So you still have the energy to still learn, at least use your brain for something. But for a student, because as a student, when you move into Sweden, their educational standard, the way their educational system is, will put you in a shock first. So there's nothing that they want to teach in Swedish that we enter. Most students don't learn Swedish during their education. They probably learn after, yes, like when speaking Swedish. So it was hard for students to learn Swedish, and one of the criteria to get a job was you knowing how to speak Swedish, right? So for me, it looks like one hurdle that I could not cross. It looked like a giant in front of me at that time, and I made up my mind that, oh, after school then I'm going to go to Canada. Canada was where I was actually looking out for. And at that time I started sending out. I was like, okay, I can't repeat masters. I cannot do masters again. Like everyone knows, I used to say, like, even if I would go to other country, not for masters, like even if for PhD, right? So yeah, so I started sending. I googled for schools in Canada where I can actually do my PhD. And I on LinkedIn, I saw some names, so I went on LinkedIn. I check out one of them that I like, and I like what she does, because I've seen some of her articles, and also I messaged her on LinkedIn. I was like, I would love to be a PhD student under you, blah blah blah. I've read these articles, I just left her a message on LinkedIn, And gratefully, fortunately for me, she replied on that same day, and she was like, "Oh, so nice to hear from you. But then I'm not taking PhD student at this time. My department is not taking a PhD, and blah blah blah. But I can refer you." So she gave me the contact of another I think assistant professor or something. I don't know the grade, how they do their grade in Canada, but yeah. So she gave me a contact to contact, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to talk to this person so you can actually reach out to him." And for me, I don't know the person. And if you're sending an email to somebody that you want to do a PhD, you have to go and learn how to, you need to read the articles so that you can know how to approach them. So I went online, Google, downloaded some of his articles, recent articles that he wrote, and also I started reading them, right? But at some point, I was doing two options. I was doing PhD or permanent resident, which is the Canadian Immigration Express entry. Those were my two options. So at that time, with the Immigration Express entry, I was already preparing to go for my IELTS, and my husband were already arranging our certificate. But one thing that kept me stuck during the Canadian immigration was I was waiting for my master. Like, okay, when I finish my masters, I can actually add my certificate as well, so that I can have like more points, even though it doesn't, according to what I heard, they said it doesn't add much, but at least it will add something. So yeah, so I was waiting for that. So while waiting for that, I was doing the PhD in case of anything happens. But I don't just know, something just, I don't know, something was just in my mind, like something just kept on dragging me. At some point, I started dragging about this whole issue. So to cut the story short, my fear why I wanted to leave Sweden first was because of the odds that I was seeing. Why I wanted to leave Sweden the first was because I was seeing a lot of odds that I think like I cannot deal with, like the language, the job market is is so, I don't know, it was so tight at that time when we came in. It was tight, and I heard it was even tighter before we even came. So it was tight at that time, and yeah, so that was why. And at that time we were already hearing some rumors about them increasing their work permit requirements. If you don't know about the work permit requirement, please, I've done a video regarding that, so you understand better when you watch that video. And yeah, so that requirement, it brought fear, it brought fear in the heart of most of us. And yeah, so I thought about leaving at that time, but got so good. Before I finished my masters, I actually got something. If you've been watching my YouTube channel, you've been watching my videos earlier on, you will know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so got so good. Before I finished my masters, I actually got a PhD position, right? Yeah, so during my PhD position is, my PhD is divided into industry and school. So this is it. Is 50-50, 50% in the in my university, and 50% is in a governmental administration, which is like a research institute. It's the Road and Transport, Swedish Road and Transport Research Institute. So that's, my PhD is divided into in between both of them. And once your PhD is divided in between both, that means you're working with both. So you can be in the school. You'll be in the school for maybe 2 days, and then you'll be with the industry at maybe 3 days, or you could just do, you have to be going to both of them. You have an office in both organizations. You have an office in school and the other, and you have different emails. It's just like you are 50% working with university, and you are 50% working with the research institute. So that was how the PhD position was on my work contract. So this is where I wanted to leave Sweden came in again. So now August 1st, I started my PhD. No, before I started PhD officially on my official work contract, it was August 1st, right? So on the norm, I'm supposed to get a work contract from the Swedish Institute Research Institute, Swedish Transport Research Institute, and also get a work contract from the Linköping University. So when VTI, we call them VTI, the Swedish Road and Transport Research Institute is called VTI. So the VTI means, is in Swedish, Väg och Transportforskning Institute. So yeah, so you understand, my Swedish is not that good, but I'm getting better, right? So that's the meaning. So the VTI is in Swedish. So now VTI reached out to me and said, "Oh, congrats, we are employing you, blah blah blah, blah blah. But for us to print out your work contract, we need your resident permit." Hmm. And at that time, my resident permit has expired. I do not have like a physical resident permit, but I was legal in the country. So I told them, I said, but I was on a renewal, right? And I told them, I said, oh, my previous resident permit expired and blah, blah, blah. I just told them that way. And they sent me an email back and said, okay, we have to wait till your resident permit is out. Guys, in my mind, because I know that Swedish migrations are always slow. In my mind, I already said, these people does not know how it's going. Before we wait, before we give you your work contract. So, Linköping had to take me in 100%. Most of the time, the HR will send me email. Your work, your permit, is it out? I keep telling them no. I keep telling them no. My supervisors were getting worried. At some point, I was like, God, what is happening? First month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, sixth month, seventh month, 8th month, guys. For 8 months, guys, I was without permit. They were waiting. I could not start in VTI. The funniest thing is, my office was in VTI. I saw my office like this in VTI because there was one day we had a meeting that I had to go to VTI to have a meeting there. I saw my office because the office was just opposite where we had the meeting. As I came out, I saw my name in the office because you know how they put their names on office. I saw my name, but I could not go there, right? I could not go there because of this permit. And it got me discouraged because this thing I'm saying, it might be like it's simple as long as you're legal. Yes, but at that time you don't know what can happen in the future. You don't know, because it got to a time migration had to send me an email and they were like, we don't understand what your contract is about. You're saying Linköping and VTI. Please, can you tell us what VTI means? They were, oh my God, that time I was like, what is happening? But don't you people know the meaning of VTI again? Like, is it not your country? They were asking me and I had to forward the email to our HR and my supervisors and they were like, really? So they had to answer them for me. They were the one who sent an email and all. But at that time, I had two options. I was like, I was almost giving up, like, what's all this? Because every time my supervisors would say, have you heard from them? Have you heard from migrations? And for them too, they were not sure. Because they were not sure if migration will approve me to work there or whether they will not, right? They were not sure. They were just carrying with faith, like, okay, because that's another problem they have with hiring foreigners. Like, if it was like an European, they don't have issues. They don't have all these issues, right? Because the money that is supposed to be split between two organizations, one organization was not the one carrying all it was now only the school that was paying me. On a norm, the school is supposed to pay me, then the VTI was supposed to pay me. So the school, the expenses, all the expenses now falls back to the school, right? They were now the one paying me for those 8 months, right? So it became a problem. Like, should I quit? Like, I thought about quitting 1001 time. Like, should I quit and go to, because I know some industry are actually hiring foreigners very well, like Nordvolt. So all my friends have gone to Nordvolt. Like, should I quit as well and go to Nordvolt like my friend? Because they will not give me pressure. I will not face pressure. Nobody will be asking me, is your resident permit out? And so that's what. And I also thought of, should I continue this my Canada thing, or should I don't know. Sometimes I even thought about, I should go back to Nigeria. I've thought about it because this headache, because I'm this kind of a person that if anything is becoming too complex, I just give up. I give up easily. Like, sometimes I give up easily. If that thing is dealing with my peace, right? I prefer peace. I like peace, right? I just go for what. So if I say if I'm my country, like, nobody will say I will not be wrong. I won't have issue of resident permit. I won't have this. I thought about it. So these are the things that why I'm saying this is a lot of people are going through this, and a lot are so quiet about it. Mine was even 8 months. I've seen somebody that it took them 2 years Like it's not PhD, right? A work permit, because PhD is different. PhD, sorry, a work permit took 2 years. At some point, it's, and this is something that has registered in our mind. For example, if you're from Africa, maybe not all Africa, but let me just speak from Nigeria. If you apply for something and it's getting delayed, you start to think negative, like, "Ah, Abi is family, Abi is VIPs of a family." And when I mean VIPs of family is, there's this thing that happens in Nigeria that, this spiritual, when people attack you spiritually with delays, so you start to think about all these things, be like, Abi, they're attacking me spiritually. You start praying, you start rebuking, and meanwhile, this thing are just normal thing. It got to a point, I prayed and prayed and prayed, and it got to a point I was like, "Ah, prayer does not work for Swedish migration." Like, prayer does not work for Swedish migration. What's wrong with these people? At some point, I went to look for the name of my case officer. I started praying on that name. I started commanding in prayer, work on my case, work on my case, work on my case. So it's one of those things that we actually go through. So this is just my share of the story, that if you're in that position right now where you're waiting for your permit, you can't, because once you're waiting, you can't travel, you can't leave the country. You're just stuck, you're trapped in the country, right? So it's not only you, and I also want to tell you that it's normal, like it's a normal thing. I've spoken to people, a lot of people have the same experience. So as long as it's not only you, that you're not the only one on the table, right? It's normal, right? It's normal. This is what we go through. Well, I think I've been able to share my story, and I hope that it inspires somebody, and I hope that it brings peace to somebody, because a lot of people might be worried right now. I just want to tell you that you should calm down. It will come, and this time will pass, right? It will pass. Now I have my permit. Now I have everything sorted, right? Now I can. And finally, I am also resuming VTI in April. April 1st is my resumption date, even though we've done like introduction. Yes, I've been there. We've done introduction last week, but officially I start working there April 1st, right? I can finally go to my office, guys. Yeah. So yeah. So I just want to inspire you. I just want to tell you to just calm down, right? It will come. Don't go and be pressurized like me, right? If you don't be pressurized like me, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for staying to the end. I still remember Sunola. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.